Portions of the following program may have been pre-recorded.
The following program's views, claims, or ideas may not reflect those of WSRR Radio or StylesRebelRadio.com.
It is 10 a.m. in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. It is April 14th, and you are listening to WSRR Radio. Nationally local, meaning we play your local bands on a national stage, and this is your Cleveland sports talk show from Pittsburgh, behind enemy lines. I'm Lucas Durazio, joined as always by Dom Farrow, and the Cleveland Browns have their quarterback for the 2025 season. Kicking things off the right way into this episode, Dom. We're getting straight into it. The Flack is back, baby. Flacco fever is once again sweeping Northeast Ohio as Joe Flacco has signed a one-year, $4 million deal with my beloved Cleveland Browns, bringing him back for the 2025 season after bringing them to the playoffs in the 2023 season. Truly saving the season in 2023. The Browns clearly turning their tires a little bit, skidding in the mud a little bit right now. Not sure what the hell's going on. But finally, the people of Cleveland have something to look forward to for this season, and it is 39-year-old Joe Flacco at quarterback. Dom, as a Steelers fan, how stupid does this look from the outside? That we're getting so excited over a guy that is elite, but is very, very close to the end of his career.
Lucas, I know you're kind of being sarcastic when you're gassing this guy up. He is past his prime, but like you said,
as sarcastic as I'm being, I'm also not. When I saw it this morning, I was actually legitimately very, very excited. We're recording this on April 11th. Friday, April 11th, this is the day that Joe Flacco re-signed with the Cleveland Browns. And, I was kind of, like I said, it is kind of stupid to be so excited over an old quarterback who's near the end of his career. But, I'll get into my analysis in a little bit. But, again, I want to hear what your take is first. I kind of cut you off there.
He won Comeback Player of the Year when he was last with the Browns. He obviously does well in this Stefanski system. I don't hate you at all for not enjoying this move. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Browns. I think it really strengthens up that quarterback room. And I don't want to go too far here, but currently, and maybe even going forward next season, the Browns might have a better quarterback room than the Steelers.
Right now, yeah. Who do the Steelers
right now,
have?
yes.
They got Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. That's
Thompson.
Right?
Yeah.
I would venture
right now
to say that's I think
that has never happened.
Room.
That has never happened. Ever. Ever.
I'm trying to think. Was there
in
one year there
30, 40 years.
What about when Kenny Pickett's rookie year? We still had Baker then, right? That had to be Browns over Steelers in terms of quarterback play.
Yeah, but we had Kenny and Mason. You
How's
guys
that
just
better?
had two is better than one, eh?
That's I have to disagree, but I really like this move. I'm sorry. I know it is stupid to
I don't
be
blame
so
you.
excited about
1 year, $4 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Kenny learns a few things.
He's a 40-year-old quarterback. I undersold how old he is. He is 40 now. He was a first-round pick in 2008, before the Obama administration had taken office. Well, really, right when they had.
Wow.
But
he was there when W. Bush was there?
Yeah. Wow. He was in college when George Bush was in office, which is just insane to see.
Now the Browns have two Pitt legends on their team, Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco went to Delaware.
He started at Pitt, though.
Did he?
And he transferred to Delaware.
I never knew that.
So you got two Pitt legends in the building.
There we go. Joe Flacco, originally a Pittsburgh Panther, then a Delaware Blue Hen. But I really like this. I think that it, if nothing else, it gives the people something to be excited for. It gives people to go to the stadium and watch the games and turn the games on. I think if Kenny Pickett is starting, you're not getting as many people watching the games. If Deshaun Watson somehow is healthy and starts, you're not getting as many people watching the games. I think that this can be a really good bridge quarterback too, because I think that he's going to play his ass off. I really do think he puts us in positions to be able to win games. I also think this might change the draft for them, because I think that, we saw what Joe Flacco did with Amari Cooper 2 years ago in his stretch with the Cleveland Browns. Like, Amari Cooper was averaging over 100 yards a game with Joe Flacco at quarterback.
Yeah.
David Njoku averaging over 80 yards a game and almost a touchdown a game with Joe Flacco. I think that I was saying they were going to take Abdul Carter. Now I think they're leaning Travis Hunter with this.
Before we look at the future, we can get into the draft, but I want to go back. Why did the Browns get rid of Joe Flacco in the first place?
Lord knows. Why? I think it was mostly just because they wanted to give Deshaun his shot. It was Watson's year. After the first year, he was coming off the suspension. The second year, he started the year and showed some signs. Obviously was still knocking rust off and didn't look great. But, you look at that second half against the Ravens, which is his last half that he played in that 2023 season. He played really, really good. And they won in comeback fashion against the Ravens. And then after that game, we get the news he needs shoulder surgery that's going to end his season. So, I think just because of that, they know how Cleveland is as a fan base. People would have been calling for Flacco, even if Deshaun Watson was doing decently. So I can't fully blame them for that. I think that they got to support their guy. And I think that at that point they were still, fully in on Deshaun Watson still, even if it didn't look great, they still had to commit to him. Now we've seen the owner come out. We've seen, Jimmy Haslam come out and say it was a big swing and a miss to bring in Deshaun Watson to trade away Baker Mayfield. And it's a good thing to see that they're bringing in Joe Flacco, because, again, I think he puts them in a situation that they can win games. I think he puts them in a situation where they can build in the draft around, not just around quarterback. This really puts off a year of having to draft a quarterback, because they can draft Travis Hunter now. They can draft Abdul Carter. Either one, they can build. You know what I'm saying? Like they can go this entire draft without taking a quarterback and be fine at quarterback next year. Now, will they do that? Maybe. Another thing that I can see them doing, maybe it's because I just watched John Gruden's QB camp on Barstool on YouTube, but I'm kind of in on them taking Will Howard in the third round. I would love that. I watched Will Howard for 30 minutes talk to Gruden, and I was kind of in on him.
Yeah, I was impressed too. He's a smart guy, it seems. He gets what's going on.
Yeah, and honestly,
I'm interested in that for the Steelers as well.
I actually think that they have very similar play styles, Joe Flacco and Will Howard. They're both big bodies in the pocket. They're honestly both kind of inconsistent. I mean, you saw
scrappy.
There's an interview with Stavi, the what's his name, Stavros, the comedian who's the Ravens fan, and he talked about Joe Flacco. He goes, every time he drops back, it's either going to be like a really great throw and a touchdown, an interception, or a PI, like like the worst interception you've ever seen, or a PI. Like everything is in play, and I kind of see that a little bit with Will Howard too. I think he found a way to be more consistent near the end of his Ohio State season, but I can see that with him too. Like, he's a big guy, he's got a big arm, he's decently mobile. Flacco was pretty mobile when he was young. I think he could learn a lot from Joe.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot. Like, these later round quarterbacks are a lot more intriguing than the early round guys. I think to both
100%.
of us. Quinn Ewers, that's one of them. Will Howard, both those guys just scream like boom or bust, and I'm willing to take a shot on those guys more than, giving up a lot for these first round guys that you're committing to.
Yeah, and I mean, there's even more. I mean, you look at this draft class, there's Kyle McCord, which, again, like, people in Ohio aren't loving Kyle McCord, but, like, if you can get him in the fourth round, he led the nation in passing yards.
Yeah, I watched him throw like 8 interceptions against Pitt.
He
That guy's
did
weak.
look really bad against Pitt. This is a sports talk show from Pittsburgh, so we saw that game. I was tuned in to see that game because I was curious of how he would do, and I wanted to go to it because it was a night game in Pittsburgh. Have never been to a Pitt game. Unfortunately, I worked one of my many side jobs that night and didn't get to go. But I tuned in real quick and was like, "Oh wow, Kyle McCord has 4 picks. That's really good."
It was I was at that game. It was one of the poorest performances I've ever seen from a quarterback live. And for that reason, I would never want to take that guy. Just for that alone.
That's pretty
seeing that in
unfortunate,
person with my own eyes.
But again, there's more guys. You mentioned Quinn Ewers. We talked about Will Howard. Jalen Milroe is another guy who I think could be pretty good. Like I think that this is it's turning more and more into a mobile quarterbacks league. You look at who won the Super Bowl this year, it's the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Milroe is maybe a more athletic Jalen Hurts. I mean, like, Jalen Hurts coming out of college was like, man, this guy's a freak athlete. Like, you see videos and stuff, he's squatting 600 pounds. Like, I don't know if Milroe's doing that type of stuff in the weight room, but, like, you watch him on the field, he looks like the best athlete on the field.
No, yeah, I completely agree. He definitely seems like he's in the upper tier of quarterbacks in this class, but for some reason he's being treated like he's not very good. He's probably going to go like 3rd or 4th round. I think 2nd round, maybe 3rd round. I think that's fair. 4th round, I think that's way too late for a guy like him, and a lot of teams would regret that. I think there's way more potential here than a lot of people are giving him credit for.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, it's a league that's moving more and more towards being based around mobile quarterbacks. Like I said, Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl this year. If he didn't win the Super Bowl, it was Patrick Mahomes. If one of those two didn't win the Super Bowl, it was going to be Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels. Pretty much everyone at the end of the season who was vying for the Super Bowl had mobile quarterbacks. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, the only team
right.
that I can think of that was close was like the Lions with Jared Goff. Like, who did Washington beat going into the NFC Championship? I can't even think. Was that the Lions?
It was the Lions.
Yeah, it was the Lions. Who did the Chiefs beat to get to the AFC Championship? The Texans.
Oh, now
right?
you're testing me.
Again, there we go. The Texans. I'm actually testing myself here too. I'm surprised I remember that. But it's the Texans. CJ Stroud, I wouldn't say he's a scrambling quarterback, but he's a decently mobile, athletic quarterback. Like, at the end of the season, all the teams that were close have guys that can move around and make something happen and, have designed runs for them even. So maybe not so much with the Chiefs, but still, you see Patrick Mahomes run the ball a good amount.
Yeah, no, he definitely gets active. I don't know if designed runs for quarterback is super necessary, but you definitely need somebody with a little bit of speed nowadays. A guy like Eli Manning in today's NFL would get killed. If he started his career over now, he would not be a Hall of Famer. I hate to say it. I love the guy, I respect what he did, but his type of game just does not fit in today's NFL. I think Philip Rivers, he outstayed his era kind of, and he got bodied toward the end. He wouldn't fit in this era. Joe Flacco, somehow he just finds a way. He's got a little bit of wheels. He's a little quick, but he's definitely phased out, I'd say.
Yeah, and I mean, you hate to say it, but he is sneaky athletic. I mean, like, you watch some of the plays from the 2023 season with the Browns, like, he's not a guy who's gonna outrun a lot of people, but like, he can move around in the pocket. He has fleet-footedness, you know what I mean? Like, and he has great pocket presence as well, which is kind of why I disagree with you a little bit. I think that Eli could find a way to do it because he had a little bit more wiggle and like he knew how to move in the pocket. Like, you look at the Patriots game again in the Super Bowl, like with the helmet catch, he somehow made it out of a sack in that play. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's guys who aren't necessarily mobile, but who are, can move in a way that's enough to survive and get around and then make the throws that they need to do.
Yeah. Now, going back to like these draft quarterbacks, do any of them really strike you as like mobile quarterbacks, like true mobile quarterbacks?
Other than Milroe?
Maybe. Yeah, other than Milroe. Because I don't know if Shador or Cam Ward, they don't give me that
does
vibe.
not look nearly athletic enough to be a mobile quarterback. I've seen so many clips of him trying to break contain in the pocket at the college level. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a Power 5 conference, but like in the Big 12, it's not the SEC, it's not the Big 10. He's trying to break contain in the pocket too much where he thinks that he is mobile enough and athletic enough to get outside, and he's just not. He just doesn't look strong enough in his lower body to do that, especially against NFL level guys, which is one of the reasons that I really don't like him in this draft, and I would be upset if the Browns did take him, and I don't think they will at 2, especially now after bringing in Joe Flacco. As stupid as that sounds, it's like you're not going to draft a guy who's 21 years old because you have a 40-year-old on the roster, but I do think that
it's a big commitment.
This signing shows the direction that Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam are planning to move in the next 2 years. The GM and the owner, I think, have gotten together and they said, we don't love any of the quarterbacks in this draft, especially not enough to take them at 2. Let's bring in a bridge quarterback. Let's build the rest of the team, which is something that I think a lot of Browns fans have been saying for years that we should do when there's not a great guy at quarterback, but everyone else on the team kind of stinks sometimes. I think this is a really, really good signing, and it gives people hope in Cleveland, and I think it shows that they do have a plan in the front office. So I overall, I'm really happy about the Joe Flacco signing, if you couldn't tell already.
Yeah, but I mean, if the whole plan is to get someone next year, then you're just basically accepting right now that next year is a tank. You don't want more than like 4 or 5 wins. It sounds like, because you can't have the Joe Flacco like balling like, oh, it's going to be a good year, but at the same time we're going to get someone great next year.
That's not always necessarily true. I think that I feel like
get a Kenny Pickett.
I feel like we've seen times in the NFL where a team can be not great, but have a decent, decent core, and then the next year draft a quarterback that really changes things. I think of C.J. Stroud with the Texans last year, or 2023. Like the year before that, they didn't jump off the page to anyone as being a really good team, and then they won a playoff game with C.J. Stroud as a rookie. I think of Washington.
Yeah, but how many games did they win before they drafted him?
That's what I'm saying. Obviously, they didn't win a lot of games because they took him in the top 5, but still, like, they were competitive the year before. They had a good base. They had a good core, and I think that's what the Browns can do this year. Like, again, I don't think they're going to win a lot of yeah. Do I think they're going to win 10 games? No. But do I think they can be fun to watch and give us some hope for the future? Yeah, why not? And honestly, at this point, I don't want to say that about Joe Flacco because I feel like he could surprise some people and end up winning 10 games.
It's definitely possible, but you're 100% sure that Flacco is the starter week 1.
I wouldn't say week 1. I mean, I think that a lot of things can happen in, through training camp and things like that. But if we were to play a game tomorrow, the Cleveland Browns had a game, on April 15th, a wonderful day because it's my birthday. If they had a game on April 15th, yeah, I think Joe Flacco would be the best guy to start. I think right now on this team, like, Deshaun Watson's in a boot. Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl champion, but hasn't shown much, and he has really small hands. Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback who's a Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl MVP. Or did he win MVP that year? I shouldn't say that. Jacoby Jones might have won MVP.
I think
in that
so.
Super Bowl.
That sounds right.
But yeah, I mean, and he's shown that he can lead this team. I would trust him over anyone else that they have in the building right now. And for that reason, I'm excited about this signing because they have a guy who they can roll out as QB1 and have a chance to win in week 1.
It's going to be a fascinating situation in Cleveland. I can't lie. Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, either way, you're not in the worst spot to be competitive. mean, it's not like you're trotting out Jameis Winston. I think it is really a different situation.
Wow, we got 20 seconds before break. Do you think Kenny Pickett gives you a better chance to win than Jameis Winston?
Yeah, Kenny is a winner.
Oh.
He won games in Pittsburgh. You saw it.
Oh, man.
He is a natural winner. He won at Pitt.
Slander.
He won with the Steelers, and then he won the Super Bowl. He took the final snap in the Super Bowl. I don't like Kenny. I don't like what he... I mean, I don't mind Kenny, but I don't really like how he left the Steelers. But, he wins wherever he goes. It might not be the worst situation. Better than Jameis.
All right, you heard it here first. Kenny Pickett is a first-rate winner from Dom Farrow. Stick with us through the break. We'll hear more about our happenings in Pittsburgh this week as we attended the big night. Stick with us here on Behind Enemy Lines.
Hey, Style here, and I want to take a minute to talk to you about Hellbender Vinyl, a proud supporter of local and independent music and a proud supporter of WSRR Radio. Hellbender Vinyl is one of America's most trusted custom vinyl pressing plants. Located in Upper Lawrenceville on Butler Street, Hellbender is Pittsburgh's first and only vinyl record pressing plant and is here to help local bands and artists get their albums onto vinyl. Hellbender Vinyl offers vinyl record pressings to ensure that albums don't just end up as a bunch of ones and zeros floating around somewhere on the internet. So, if you're interested in giving your album a physical release, you can visit hellbendervinyl.com to start the conversation today. Plus, every customer at Hellbender Vinyl receives 5 free test presses to review at no additional cost. Hellbent on quality, hellbent on service, hellbendervinyl.com.
Hi, this is Melissa.
And hey, it's Matt.
Coming at you from Synergy Music Studio.
We are a recording and production studio located on the south side near Chicago.
Check us out online at synergymusicstudio.com. We offer recording, mixing, and mastering.
And follow us on Instagram at Synergy Music Studio. Rock hard.
Welcome back to Behind Enemy Lines right here on WSRR Radio. WSRR Radio is brought to you by Hellbender Vinyl.
Lucas, I love Hellbender Vinyl. Did you know that it's Pittsburgh's first and only custom vinyl record pressing plant?
Yeah, I actually did know that, Dom. Thanks for reminding me and the people at home. But did you know that it's not only Pittsburgh's first and only custom vinyl record pressing plant, but it's also one of America's most trusted record pressing plants? It's perfect for local and independent artists who want to take their album release to the next level. Don't settle for a bunch of ones and zeros floating around the internet. Have a physical album release with Hellbender Vinyl. Check them out at hellbendervinyl.com. Dom, it is fitting that we are talking about a Pittsburgh business because we went and saw a Pittsburgh icon this week. On April 9th, Wednesday, me and Dom and a friend of ours went to Pat McAfee's Big Night Out. If you're unfamiliar with the Yinzer accent, it's not a night out, it's a night out. You're not going downtown, you're going downtown. It's a real shit show here, I'll tell you that much.
It was crazy. It was guys being dudes. And Lucas, I gotta say, I don't think he really played up the Yinzer accent too much outside the Big Night Out.
A little bit.
Every once in a while. He did it on occasion. He wasn't doing it every sentence. But the big thing was he brought out some huge guests. I think it was major surprises. Jelly Roll, O's the Mentalist, Jay Uso.
Well, let's take it slow. I want to take this night step by step. Okay? All
right.
So first McAfee comes out. First off, the show starts late, okay?
Well, perfect, because we arrived like 30 minutes late.
We got there. We got there like right at 8 when it was supposed to start. Didn't start till 8:30. We went to a local watering hole and got some za and some pepperoni rolls, and a couple of pitchers of Labatt Blue. And immediately when we arrived on site, I realized what I should have realized the entire time, that this was one of the white trashiest events that I had been to, at least in the last calendar year.
It was the WWE type of audience. Yinzer style.
A little bit, yes. It was like fully Yinzer WWE. By the end of the night, I kind of realized that the concept for the night was like, let's just see if we got like all of the rowdiest and like white trashiest people. Like if we got 12,000 of the craziest people and like the most excited people from one city into one building, like what would happen? And that was kind of what it was at the end of the day.
And let me tell you something.
In PPG Arena.
I was thinking maybe like halfway in the show, maybe somewhat towards the end, I was thinking, I wonder if like people would fight at this type of event. Like you see fights at hockey games, at football games, at pretty much any type of event. But it seemed like such a joyous thing. It was like charitable. People were winning like millions of dollars. I was thinking like, could anybody fight at this? The next morning I open up Twitter. Sure enough, Yinzers are fighting at Pat McAfee's Big Night Out. For God knows what reason.
Personnel that was there. The first conversation that I heard when I walked up to the bar outside of PPG that we went to get some pizza was I heard a guy being like, well, hey, man, if a guy's going to step to me, like, I'll show him what's up. And I was like, what the hell's going on next to me? And then that guy who said that walks away, and the guy that he was saying it to goes up to the bar and, like, accidentally bumps into this guy. And he was like, oh, yeah, I didn't even know that guy. He was just talking to me. And he was like, yeah, he said he was going to try to beat my ass. And he was like, he was the one he was talking about, that he was going to show what's up or like whatever. I was fully expecting to see some fisticuffs thrown.
I mean, it was just such a fun environment. I couldn't think of any reason. Like, other than the sumo wrestling, there wasn't anything that would get me fired up in that way to fight at this. Even if somebody...
the personnel there, I wouldn't have been surprised for a fight. From the vibes that McAfee was trying to throw out and like the togetherness that they were trying to kind of preach, and like it was charitable. Everyone who came out, pretty much, they talked about that they gave at least $50,000 to a local charity, which was really nice. I do think it was a good event overall. There was a lot of money being given out. Someone one section over from us won $100,000.
Yeah.
Someone else won. I think overall there was like 4 different people who won thousands of dollars. And then there was also, every single time he brought out a guest, there was a Twitter question up on the Jumbotron. And if you answered on Twitter, if you were one of the first 5 people to answer right on Twitter, you got $5,000. So like, there was a lot. It was a good event. It was a charitable event. Like there was people, and like you said before we started recording this segment, Dom, like it was a $20 ticket for us, like, it was it's a good deal. It was a lot more entertaining and worth the bang for the buck than I thought it would be.
Yeah, and especially like, and you aren't even like a Pittsburgh fan. They brought out some huge names. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I think overall, if you went there, if you're just a dude, you would have loved it. If you like sports, if you like having fun. And even like we were talking about like the promos beforehand. One of it was like big sing-alongs, and we were like, all right, what can they be doing? But it was actually kind of fun. He brought out, like we said, Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll saying, I'm not even a Jelly Roll fan. I would never pay to see Jelly Roll. You'd have to pay me to see him. But at this, he sang Renegade. That was pretty sick.
Uh-huh.
And then he sang a couple other songs.
He came out and first off, Pat McAfee let it off with like trying to do like 15 minutes of stand-up, which was kind of weird. But like, he also was like, he was doing like Pittsburgh stand-up, or we would talk about Pittsburgh, and like, it was also weird stand-up to where like, when you have a whole stadium like that, there's going to be like chants and stuff, and like, it's a raucous crowd. So I felt like he would say like one sentence and then like stand there and wait for everyone to react, which they would, for like 20 seconds. And then he would say something else. So it was kind of like hard to almost get into a cohesive thing that he was trying to say in a way. You know what I mean?
It kind of reminded me of like when presidents do like State of the Unions. Like every single thing they say, people are standing up clapping. It's just like you can't
huge
even like
reaction.
It's just like we don't need to go crazy for everything. But yeah, the monologue I think was a bit long. But
and he was
once he got past that, the show was.
Too.
Yeah, I think after that though, the show had a pretty good pace.
Yeah, so pretty much he starts with like a little monologue, kind of stand up, like I said, mostly just talking about himself, talking about Pittsburgh, and then he says something about Renegade, and Renegade starts playing, and Jelly Roll comes out and starts singing it. Then he goes, hey, y'all
Pretty
mind if I play y'all some country music? And everyone's like, yeah! And then he starts singing the wrong song. Oh, yeah. The band started playing one song, and he's singing another song, and he was like, oh, hey, my bad. All right, we'll do that one. We'll do that one. So he sings 2 country songs. I'm like, all right, whatever. And then that was when I left. I went to go get another drink for you and our friend, and
You're like, I've seen enough.
Just hearing from the outside, because again, I was like, I'm not a country music fan. Like, I don't really need to hear him. But from the concourse, I'm hearing what he's playing. He wasn't even playing his songs. At one point, he was playing Eminem. And I was like,
I forgot about that.
And I guess that was kind of like the sing-along part. But
I forgot about that part. It was actually kind of hype. He was like, yo, that's enough of that country stuff. How about a little hip-hop? And then he just started doing like a whole like montage. It was like Outkast and Eminem. It was kind of fun. It was cool. Nice little sing-along for the fellas.
Yeah, that was where the big sing-along came in. So Jelly Roll came out first, and then he gave out what, $10,000 or $100,000
to the section next to us.
Money. Yeah, that's right, to the section next to us. Then who came out next? Who was after Jelly Roll? O's, the Mentalist. If you haven't
Which
seen
might
this
have
guy,
been the biggest fumble.
Look up some videos of O's, the Mentalist. He does some really cool stuff. When I saw him, I was actually excited.
Oh yeah,
because
me too.
I think we've both seen really cool videos of him. Like, he'll quote unquote read people's minds and say what they're thinking and write it down and then show the camera, and then the guy says what he wrote down. Blah blah blah, whatever. He was trying to do like a stupid calculator trick where in the end everyone in the building gets the same number, but everyone was supposed to punch in something different.
Yeah.
And basically they got it wrong. They messed up. And the people on the Jumbotron, they were showing someone's phone and it was like 21,795,000 something something something.
Yeah.
And he starts unrolling the number and it's the wrong number.
Well, he got like the first like 3 digits right, and people were like, "What?
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, people were like, "Huh?" And then it just got quiet, and then they cut off the video of the woman's calculator, and he finished off what he was saying. Then they rushed him off the stage.
He got out of there quick.
It's like, thank you,
that was the first time
O's.
I've ever seen O's mess up.
Yeah, like I said, like you said, he's awesome. What he does is mind blowing,
Yeah.
and I still don't know how he does a lot of stuff, but he really did not have a good night there. But next on the plate was something that I'm not into, but you're kind of into, a WWE star, Jey Uso.
That's right. The main event, Jey Uso came out, and he did his full entrance where he came out of the stands and everyone was yeeting. And again, I'm a little bit into the WWE. Like, I understood what was going on, but I'm not fully into it. Our friend Cam is 100% in. Like, he was standing up, singing along to the Yeah Ooze song. He was yeeting as hard as I could ever see him do. He was fired up to see him. He was like, man, that's the main event. That's the main event, Jey Uso. Why would I not be fired up? That's the main event. And I love to see it. That is the reason that why I think we need to quickly and soon see a WWE event live, because there's nothing like it, truly.
Yeah.
And then he gave out some money. Again, they kind of had like this Plinko style game to give out money, and it was a good thing. You know, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to see. And then what was after that? Was this the sumo wrestling came after that, correct?
Yeah, that's right. They brought out the Toxic Table, Ty Schmidt and Boston Connor from the Pat McAfee show, if you're fans of that program. But they also brought out Michael Cole from the WWE. And they also brought out Shane Gillis, which got a big pop, maybe the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah, Shane Gillis.
I got on my feet for that.
Was yeah, me too. I'm not gonna lie, I was excited for that. Shane Gillis came out. He was the referee of the sumo match, which was very interesting. The sumo match was to determine which side of the stadium had the opportunity to win more money, and that was again something that everyone was really into, and again something that like you weren't expecting to see, which like is something that I've seen on TV a lot. I've always loved from a young child, anytime sumo wrestling was on the TV, I was like, oh, I'm dialed into this. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see it in person. And now that I've seen it, I'm like, okay, I've seen that. I don't need to see that in person
I don't
again.
know. I think we need to see real sumo wrestling because it was on a stage where they kind of put down like a canvas over like a plastic stage. Usually it's on like a clay stage and they're hitting each other way harder. Like you could tell they were kind of holding back. It wasn't fully safe because if they hit each other at full speed and threw one another off like fully, you could tell it was a little scripted. Okay. Which
yeah.
I think
WWE production.
It was best 2 of 3, and once the first guy won the first one, you knew that the other guy was going to win the second one, take it to 3, stuff like that. But again, it was an interesting thing to see 2 500-plus pounders, slap bellies together while Shane Gillis yells at them. Like that's not something at the beginning of the night I expected to see, and for that, I think that the Pat McAfee show, the big night out, was successful. That we saw a lot of things that we weren't expecting to see. The
and
next
things
thing
we'll never see in our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something we'll never see again.
That we saw. Actually, I don't know. What was the next thing that we saw? After that, was it the next musical performance?
Yeah, that was when he brought out Wiz. And that was like pretty cool. I was like, all right, that's dope. The
Wiz
Pittsburgh
Khalifa.
guy. But then he brought out Snoop. I was like, that's pretty awesome.
Wiz Khalifa
that might have been
and
the
Snoop Dogg both gave a performance. And the other thing that was cool about this was that all of them at least said that they did it for free. And, that they were like, nah, we wanted to come out. We heard that Pat was going to do this and, whatever. So I think for that, it was a successful show. I think that Pat McAfee really used his pull to make it as interesting as possible. And he's definitely succeeded in doing that. And it's crazy to see someone do that because really, there was a lot of points in this show that I stuck to my opinion that Pat McAfee really doesn't have that much actual talent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of times where I was like, he's not talented in any way that I'm really drawn to.
Yeah, but he's got like charisma, and the talent is like putting all this together and making it happen.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely part of it, but I don't know, like some of the times when he was talking, I was just like, I'm not super drawn to it. And again, maybe it's because I'm not a huge fan of his, but like there wasn't much that he was offering, I feel like almost.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what the whole reason why he did this. He had to have people, because if he just stood up there for 2 hours, people would be like, all right, exactly. Like, what does this guy have to offer other than talking? That's what he does for 3 hours every weekday. So I don't know. I think it was cool just seeing things that will never probably happen again. Seeing Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg and Pat McAfee dancing. I mean, that's unbelievable. Seeing Jelly Roll singing Renegade. That's just crazy stuff. And then, actually, I won't get to the best part yet. Before all this, we see Tone Diggs, we see Darius Butler, no Go Dukes chant, no Duquesne love in the house. Kind of disappointing.
AJ Hawk there, of course, as well.
Yeah, of course. How could I forget? And then this guy, Parker McCollum, who I haven't heard of before, he sang a couple songs.
Yeah, country artist. He was
talented.
Voice. Beautiful jawline as well. Really handsome cowboy. Really good looking guy. And then finally, the Ultimate Yinzer special. Pat McAfee brings out Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Yup.
He brings out Paul Skeens, who, by the way, they made up graphics for pretty much everyone that came out.
WWE
WWE style graphics. They put the wrong number up for Paul Skeens, which I thought was pretty hilarious. Brought up Paul Skeens, another current Pittsburgh legend. And then they brought out the big three of Pittsburgh hockey in Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Patrick Letang. Patrick, right? Did I get that name right? No?
Chris Letang.
Chris Letang, excuse me. And
you're thinking about Patrick Kane.
Patrick Kane, that's right. And Chris Letang, and they had Crosby, Ben Roethlisberger, and Paul Skeens try to throw a football through a big hoop. However many they made, they'd give out that many million. They ended up giving $2 million because Paul Skeens refused to take off his jacket for the throw, and he missed twice, Dom.
You tried telling him. We were just up way too high.
we're up in the 200 section, the very back of the entire stadium, and everyone's kind of quiet, waiting to see what's happening. And I'm screaming at him from hundreds of feet away, Paul, take off your jacket. You don't pitch in a jacket. Why are you wearing a bomber jacket to throw a football? It's like a 40-yard throw.
I mean, Sidney Crosby was wearing a T-shirt. Big Ben was wearing something light. They got their throws in. Crosby is he's just so good at everything. You just knew he was making it.
They gave Skeens a second shot, and he still missed.
Yeah, that wasn't the best, but I don't know. I liked what he said. I liked what he had to say to the city. He's like, listen, we're gonna win a World Series here. We got guys who have won. Here's one. I'll bring out some more. Like that's what it's about. He actually cares, I think. I hope he stays. It's just if they'll pay him. Get a salary cap in the MLB, please.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. We saw a lot of sell the team chants, which was fun to see. And I think that was kind of when I realized that this was the most Yinzer event that I've ever been to. Like, it was very, very Pittsburgh-centric, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, if this happened 2 years ago, you would have been hearing Fire Matt Canada chants. It's just like these guys will go nuts. They'll use any opportunity they can to let their feelings be known about their teams. And I think it's pretty cool to hear them, get fired up. I don't know if I agree with it, but they're sure rowdy.
Yeah, and the other thing that made this a really Pittsburgh event was that it was Pat McAfee. He's originally from Pittsburgh, from Plum, just outside. And I think that it really showed, like, if it was any other of, personality like this, the city wouldn't have showed out. And I think that Cleveland is very similar in this way as well. Like, if it was someone else who tried to put on a show like that, they probably wouldn't, like, embrace it and show out that much, especially on short notice like McAfee did with this event. And again, like I said, I think Cleveland would do this too, but like Pittsburgh was supporting a Pittsburgher and they came out for him and wanted to see him. And I think it was kind of like an inspiration to other Yinzers. But really, I do think that Pat McAfee is just any other Yinzer, just with a stage and a louder voice than all of the other ones, which is saying something because there's a lot of loud Yinzer voices. Stick with us here to hear our now Yinzer voices because we're pretty much Yinzers now at this point, unfortunately. Stick with us here on Behind Enemy Lines, right here on WSRR Radio.
What's the difference between the shirt you're currently wearing and the one that I am? Well, both do their job of concealing us from the outside world and social boundaries. But one little black swoosh makes yours cost nearly double. That red rectangle may not change how warm you are, but it certainly changes the price tag. The truth is, nobody cares about the details. Get to the point with GenericClothes.com. Have a laugh at the big brand clothing company's expense with shirts that simply say sports team, political statement, music band, and more. A shirt for any occasion and the perfect gift. GenericClothes.com.
Welcome back to Behind Enemy Lines right here on WSRR Radio, which is proudly brought to you by GenericClothes.com. Nobody cares about the details. Get to the point at GenericClothes.com. Don't sell out to the big. Don't sell out to the big brand clothing empires and their prices. There we go, Dom. Make a statement at their expense with GenericClothes.com. Dom, this week I did something that I've done a couple of times. And, now that the weather's warming up, I think that if you haven't done this, those at home listening, in their car listening, if you haven't done this, I think that you really should. It's one of those little things in life. It's one of those experiences that you almost don't think of. But like once you do it, it's kind of unique and it really makes you feel like you're not in a simulation. It kind of breaks the simulation. Just like one of those things that really makes you feel like an individual. This week, I just went and got ice cream by myself. You ever done that, Dom?
I haven't. I've never done that.
You know what? I was on my way home from the gym. It was warm out. It was like 70 degrees. And I look to my right and I see the soft serve place that's a couple blocks from my house. And I said, you know what? I need it. And I turned, I parked on the corner and It was the first time of the year that I got it. It just opened like in the past week. Got myself a nice big twist cone, vanilla and chocolate. Spectacular. Get ice cream by yourself this week. That's my mission for those listening at home and you, Dom.
Well, that's
What do
pretty
you think
nice
about that?
It's pretty nice when you got a soft serve place right next to your, a few blocks from your place.
Oh, yeah.
I don't got any of that.
Soft serve is
The best.
It's interesting because, like, I don't know if it's the best, to be honest. I think if I had to choose, I'd go hard ice cream over soft because of the flavors. But,
Yeah,
a
but-
soft serve cone doesn't miss.
The only way if I'm going hard ice cream is if it's got like stuff inside of it, like cookie dough or.
That's
you
what I'm
know.
saying, the flavors.
Yeah, but like if it's just plain vanilla or chocolate or strawberry, you gotta go with the soft serve.
Yes,
vanilla
I agree,
soft serve?
but that's
A
what I'm
vanilla
saying. Like
or
I
a
like
twist?
the mix-ins. I love the mix-ins. I love getting a double chocolate chunk mint frickin' Rocky Road butthole muncher or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Just having a bunch of different stuff. In
You
that ice
strike
cream,
me
it's
as a-
hard and it's got stuff in there.
You strike me as a Rocky Road cat.
I actually don't like Rocky Road. That was just the first thing that came to mind. Doesn't Rocky Road have marshmallow in it?
Yeah, I think so, and some nuts and things.
I'm not a marshmallow in my ice cream guy.
Yeah,
Which I think
like
we've
a
had
little
this
marshmallow.
conversation before, because didn't you say you get marshmallow Italian ice or something like that?
Yeah. Back in York, Pennsylvania, they got
That
this
sounds
place.
so gross.
You can get marshmallow topping on your Italian ice, or not Italian ice. It's like shaved ice. It's delicious.
That's disgusting. Yeah, can't
Delicious.
you also get like wedding cake flavor or something?
Yeah, that's what I get. Wedding cake with the marshmallow topping. It's delicious. It's filling, and you'll have a great time doing it. It's better than like Rita's. Rita's stinks.
Nah. Yeah, I can't. I can't get behind that. Now
That's basically
maybe
the
it's better
same
than
as-
Rita's. I haven't had Rita's very often.
It's basically the same as Rita's putting the custard on top of, ice.
Yeah, Rita's, by the way, for those in Cleveland or otherwhere that haven't had it, it's like custard, which is pretty much soft serve, right? Or
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah,
like
pretty
soft
much.
serve, and then they put like kind of like a slushy over top of it.
So this
And
isn't
it's-
out in Cleveland?
No, well, maybe. I don't know. I never got it when I was in Cleveland. But
I thought this was worldwide.
it might be around, but the first time I ever heard of it really was when I came to Pennsylvania. But I can't. It's nothing to write home about. It's different. I didn't hate it when I had it once. It's kind of refreshing, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider it like world famous.
So what's your go-to ice cream?
Wow, that's tough. Go to. It really depends what I'm feeling.
Really? You don't have one
I feel like
favorite?
we've had this conversation before because, like, I think I said that I don't really love like fruity ice cream. And
Yeah.
you said you do.
Yeah, I mean,
in
ain't
my
bad.
old age, I turned 26 next week. In my old age,
Old
I'm
head.
coming to more and more appreciate like a refreshing ice cream. You know, like something like blueberry crumble. I don't know if you ever had something like that. But,
Sounds good.
For people in Cleveland, Mitchell's has like a wild berry crumble that's really good. It's got like granola in it pretty much, and like blueberry, and it's good stuff. That's the
damn
way you
good.
want to go. Yeah, it's legit. But so as I'm getting older, I'm more appreciating that after a meal because it doesn't make me feel as fat and gross and disgusting. So that's kind of the thinking man's ice cream, if you
Yeah.
will.
This a couple days ago, I went to Page's Ice Cream, which is one of the best in Pittsburgh. If you haven't been there, you gotta go. It's worth traveling
that's
for.
That's my other thing about soft serve. Sorry to cut you off, but like you say it's one of the best. What's the difference between one soft serve place and another? It's pretty much the exact same thing, is it not?
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, it's perfect.
So why is Page's one of the best and Twister's that's 2 blocks away from my house doesn't have lines down the street?
Well, because like you said, hard ice cream, there's much more variety. There's much more you can do with it. Page's
but
has
Twister's
a fair
is
amount.
another soft serve place, I'm saying.
Yeah, and you're saying the line ain't out the door
Yeah.
because there aren't as many options.
Neither does Page's is soft serve. That's what I'm saying.
Page's has way more than that.
Okay, go on. You went to
anyways,
Pages. Tell me about your experience.
it was perfect. The line wasn't crazy. I went on like a rainy day. It was great. Didn't have to wait like 30 minutes like usual. I got a Cookie Monster Arctic Swirl, which is basically like a blizzard, and it had these cookies from this place called Nancy B's in Pittsburgh.
Nancy
which is
B's
another,
cookies, yes. I was
the
waiting
best
to say that.
cookies in the world. It's like made with like peanut butter. There's some like peanut type stuff, and it's delicious. It's the best cookies in the world. They put it in this. I think there's like some Oreos or something in it, and then they put like this. It's called like Blue Moon flavoring, which is like apparently is like a fruity taste, but it's like tastes. People say it tastes like cereal kind of, like fruity cereal kind of, and with that it made it blue. Oh man, it was delicious. I felt like the Cookie Monster.
That sounds delectable. That sounds. I'm gonna have to make a trip to Pages for that. I've heard they also do like a chocolate chip cookie sundae.
Yep,
where they'd use
delicious.
those Nancy B's cookies. I used to work at a coffee shop that sold Nancy B's cookies. I think Nancy B's is like 30 or 45 minutes outside the city, and they would like ship them in like every couple weeks. We just get these big boxes, so I would just steal them all the time because they were really, really good. Especially you had to get them fresh though. After they would sit in this one cabinet that we had for weeks at a time. And if anyone from Coffee Tree Roasters is listening to this, or anyone who's considering going to Coffee Tree Roasters in Pittsburgh, don't get a cookie, because they've more than likely been sitting for weeks to months in a cabinet. Unless they've started rotating the fresh ones in better, because that was always my big beef. I had one, the first time I had one, it was one of the ones that had been sitting and it was pretty stale and not good. And I was like, these cookies suck. Why do people buy these? And then like a month later, I got one that was freshly delivered, and I was like, whoa, that's a game changer.
They're different. She knows what she's doing, this Nancy B. I need to go there soon. I'd argue that's better. That's a better stop than an ice cream stop right there. Cookies.
Yeah, a nice cookie stop. Definitely. Nancy B's are good. What are your opinions on a little bit of salt on your chocolate chip cookie?
Love it. Need it. Sometimes if I get cookies, I feel like a fat guy, but sometimes I'll sprinkle a little bit of salt on the cookies. Like it's just so good. Yeah.
It's like a fat piece of shit? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm like, this cookie's probably already bad for me. Let me just add salt to it.
Let me add some sodium into my diet.
Yeah.
Me and my fiance made some cookies the other night, and I sprinkled some salt on like half of them because she doesn't like it.
You don't feel that?
I'll just keep it on mine.
Yeah, my girlfriend does not like the salt in the cookies. I'm like, She's
not messing with the salt.
It's a game changer.
We hope that you guys are messing with salt on the cookies, and we hope that you guys are messing with us here at Behind Enemy Lines on WSRR Radio. Thanks for listening to us ramble about food. Tune in next week.
Peace.
The preceding program was a sponsored production. The views, claims, and ideas expressed may not represent those of WSRR Radio.